Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the 7 most potent musical orgasms. I don't mean that the orgasms are the music. I mean, it is the music describing the orgasm, the actual sexual moment of orgasm in the sex act. Now, we all know that music is extremely descriptive and it can do all kinds of things. I mean, people are fine when music describes birds and rain and the sea and larks ascending all over the place. It's all delicious and cute and adorable. It's nature. But if music describes sex and the moment of climax, well, that's a whole nother issue. And then people start talking about vulgarity and taste and all these things. I must have had something wrong with me because I was always raised to think that sex is fabulous and there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. And if it's something that people talk about, and they do constantly, and think about, which they do even probably more than they talk about it, there is no reason why music can't get in the act. And it does, and it has. And I have 7 examples here. There are many more I can think of, but these 7, I think, are the most graphic. Really, really, really graphic. And some people have gotten some trouble because they were that graphic musically, but let's just talk about them one at a time. Richard Strauss, Der Rosenkavalier, the Prelude. Now, Strauss appears on this list twice. Strauss was the king of musical orgasms. He was famous for saying that he could describe musically absolutely anything. He could describe the telephone book if he wanted to. But he really liked describing musical orgasms and sex acts. There are quite a few in his works. One of the most famous is the love scene from Fire Snot, his early opera. I know, Feuer's Not. It's not Fire Snot, but I like the name. It's Feuer's Not. That's a really pornographic piece of music, but nobody really knows it or cares about it. It's a lot of fun, by the way. But that's I think his first effort at it. I mean, but Don Juan has some of it, and Electra. Oh my goodness! I mean, hers is her final climax is kills her. I mean, so it's quite a climax. And you might say it's not the climax of a sex act particularly, but it's Electra's all about repressed sexuality and things like that. So who knows? Anyway. The first one is the Prelude to the Rosenkavalier, because that's what's happening when the Prelude's going on, right? I mean, the Marschallin and what's his name are having intercourse, and the moment of climax is rather graphically illustrated by the horns. Now, there are 2 types of climaxes, by the way, male climaxes and female climaxes. And one of the interesting things about this is that most composers, of course, are male. And you might say that perhaps the ultimate achievement in climactic, sexual, orgasmic depiction is when male composers accurately depict female climaxes. And we'll get to that in a moment. But think about that for a minute, It's like what's actually being described, because the 2 are quite different physiologically. And the music should reflect that. And believe it or not, it sort of does. But Der Rosenkavalier is male, for sure. Next, Shostakovich, Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk. Well, this got him in trouble. Stalin saw it and he was horrified. I think he called it pornophony or something like that. But Shostakovich almost lost his life because of the sex scene in Lady Macbeth of Mtsensk, which is a grotesque, vulgar, desperate, animalistic, savage, terrifying, unbelievably graphic depiction of, first of all, Katerina Izmailova's repressed sexuality, and then second, Boris, her boyfriend's, the exact moment when he climaxes and the trombones do their thing there. You can tell exactly what's happening and when. Next, here's a really abstract example, but it's one that always struck me. Barber's Violin Concerto, the first movement, the climax of the first movement. I didn't think about it in sexual terms until I saw a performance with Elmar Oliveira with the New Haven Symphony when I was in high school. And it's going da 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 boom boom da 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 boom yeah da 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 da. Oh, for heaven's sake! Of course, that's what it is. I mean, who's he kidding? I mean, there's no question that's what was going on there. Certainly, there's no question that Mr. Oliveira was not just playing the violin; he was physically thrusting his way to that climax. And let me tell you, it was pretty evident just how that music was depicting what he was not just playing but doing. It was really pretty startling, actually, to my young high schoolish mind. And ever since then, it's really stuck with me. And if you don't believe me, just listen to that and think about it for a minute. Think about what it might be doing while that music is happening. It's really, really, really powerful. Oh, number 4, Scriabin, the poem of Ecstasy. I mean, it's got to be on any list. Doesn't it have to be? I mean, is there any more obvious? I mean, he's telling you what it is, essentially. Now, you might argue that it's a spiritual climax. It's not the physical act. It's a, but I mean, in order for you to know that it's any kind of a climax, it has to be climactic, and it could just as well be quite physical. I think it's a pretty potent depiction of climax delayed and ultimately fulfilled. And that has a sexual component. There's no question about it. And if I didn't put it on the list, you would all yell at me. So it's on the list. And you can interpret it however you please. I think it's a pretty sexy piece of music. And certainly Leopold Stokowski thought so. And if it was good enough for Stokowski, it is good enough for me. Next, this is an interesting one. Tchaikovsky, Symphony No. 5. Now, some of you might be saying, huh, what? Well, turns out that there was a true story. This is a true event. You could look it up. It's on YouTube. There was a performance of Tchaikovsky's Fifth in Los Angeles a little while ago. It was actually conducted by L.M. Chan, I believe. And in the middle of the second movement, they say, a woman let out an orgasmic groan and was in the throes of a full-body orgasmic climax as the music was reaching the second movement was reaching its, one of its climaxes. The one where it's going, da 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 da. Then the big tune comes in, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. She didn't even get to that. First of all, it's only the first time it comes in. The big one is the second time. But if you this is on YouTube, believe it or not, and it was in the papers. It was in the L.A. Times. Woman has full body climax at L.A. Phil concert. I mean, it's there, and you can hear it, and the music's going, and just before the tune comes in, you hear like this. Now, did she really have an orgasm as a result of the performance? I don't know. She might just as easily have had Tourette's syndrome. I mean, really, seriously, there's no way to tell. But the people who were there, who were supposedly sitting around her, said that she had a full body as opposed to a half body or partial body orgasm. And I can see the point. But then I got to thinking. I mean, this thing happened. A friend of mine told me about it recently. I didn't know about it, and we were all having a chuckle. And then I thought about it for a minute. The program of that symphony, we know from Tchaikovsky's own notes, this is the motto theme, which is, murmurs, doubts, reproaches. Shall I throw myself into the embrace of Triple X? Triple X was his, monogram for his homosexuality. And if you actually listen to what happens to that music, you've got, when it comes back, not the point where the lady had her eruption in the middle of the concert, but the second time, when that music comes back. It rises to an absolutely orgasmic climax. You know, it's Tchaikovsky. It's like gets higher and higher. The tension gets up, and then yeah, da da da, yeah, da da da. You know, he's giving himself up to it, and then as it ebbs, the motto theme comes in, triple forte. You know, da 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 da, ba 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 ba. And it's all of the doubt and all of the question and all the torment that he felt in his sexual identity, because of his sexual identity. All that comes blasting back at him. And that's a programmatic interpretation of the music that seems to me to work pretty damn well. So I think there really is a moment there where he gives himself up to the ecstasy of it and has his climax, and then immediately regrets it. And actually, we find this in his correspondence. There's a moment where he's writing to his brother, I think it is, or whatever. But he went to, he was in Paris, and he was, you know, enlisted the services of a male prostitute, and he talks about how, you know, he was lovely initially, but then he was repelled and disgusted, and there is that dynamic in Tchaikovsky's music, and I think it's probably most powerfully expressed in that slow movement of the Fifth Symphony. So, for what it's worth, there it is. Next, we have Strauss again. Well, it's the sex scene from the Symphonia Domestica. Strauss's wife was horrified. I mean, she was appalled by that music. It represents the composer making love to his wife. It's a male orgasm. It's not a female orgasm. But even so, she was mightily pissed that he would, you know, think it amusing. And he did. Strauss thought the whole thing was just funny. You know, he was, you know, totally in love with the decadence of the whole thing and the whole idea, the whole concept. And it's very interesting because the climax of the Sinfonia Domestica is quite similar to the Agamemnon motive in Electra, which also represents the climax of Electra's orgiastic dance of, you know, a dance of death sort of thing. It's a very, very graphic sexual interlude. Every stage is brilliantly represented, and you can hear it and take it for what it's worth. It's fascinating to me that people try and deny what's so obviously there. And that's an interesting thing about music. Remember how Shostakovich fooled the authorities at the end of his Fifth Symphony, where he said that the end is a happy ending, and everyone who heard it knew it wasn't a happy ending? But because he said it was a happy ending, it was a happy ending. Well, that's supposed to be a love scene. Well, there's a difference between love, like the love scene from Romeo and Juliet. It doesn't have any sex in it. It's a love scene between love and the actual mechanical act of having an orgasm. That's what Strauss is doing. And that's what some of these other composers are doing as well. But they could get away with it by saying, it's just a love scene. And everyone says, it's a love scene. Well, it doesn't have any actual physical sex. Nobody would musically depict the act itself. Ick. Well, they do. And they did. And last but not least, of course, Wagner, Tristan and Isolde. I mean, it's got to be there. And this may be the greatest musical orgasm of all. At least it shows that Wagner was an incredible genius, because it's a female orgasm. It's not a male orgasm. Not a bit. And I think that one of the things that Wagner really understood in this case, I mean, it has to be a female orgasm, first of all, because Tristan is dead. So, and Isolde is going to have a psychosomatic orgasm, rather like the lady in Los Angeles. You know, I mean, the music's going and she just has this incredible climax, after which she simply dies. The fact that it leads to her death is, I think, rather unfortunate. I mean, the lady should be allowed to have an orgasm and survive it. But because this is romantic opera, and it's Wagner's bizarre Schopenhauerian whatever thing, and because he wasn't the one who was probably doing the male version, he kills her. She has an orgasm and she drops dead. But no question, that's what she's doing. Of course, Wagner calls it the Liebestod, love death. And it's about love. It's not about love. It's nothing to do with love. It's about having an orgasm which is so intense that it kills you. That's what it's about. And that's what the music does. And it does it extremely effectively. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I've played the Liebestod for all kinds of people who know nothing about classical music. And I say to them, so what's going on there? And they listen to it. They go, oh, my God. Yeah, it's totally obvious. And it's not like love death. It's not. Not at all. Yeah. So there it is. The 7 most potent musical orgasms. And if you have any that you want to share, please feel free to give me your list as well. I'm sure it'll be extremely, extremely interesting. And it may even say things about you that you don't want other people to know, which would be even more interesting. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.